The WWE Hall of Fame is the Friday before WrestleMania. And it is a great pick. I mean, a pick that honestly people would be surprised about, but is a true veteran of our business. Uh, this woman has been a former women's champion, has been a great fixture in WWE, probably a former host of WWE Experience, a show that many people may not remember, but was there, and as well as many other things, and we'll go for that very quickly as we can. Ivory, otherwise known as Lisa Moretti, or if you were a fan of Glow, the gorgeous ladies of wrestling back in the day, as Tina Ferrari. And let's talk about that quickly about the whole Glow thing. There's been a revival of Glow in a way with the Netflix series of Glow. I have not seen most of it, but from what I have seen, it tries to be what the old show used to be, but to a new ager audience. And even some people that are not wrestling fans have watched this and have loved it. It really transcends our business and what was actually going on. But to briefly talk about that, the Glow thing, first of all, she was trained by Mondo Guerrero, one of the lesser known Guerreros, to be honest. If you were to think of the Guerrero name, you think maybe Eddie, Chavo Sr. and Chavo Jr. respectively. Maybe even Vicky Guerrero, maybe even Eddie's daughter, Shaw Guerrero. But Mondo was good for his time, really was. And to be trained by him is no easy thing. So that was something for sure. But to think about, again, Glow for a minute, to be honest, Moretti was in a lot of places that were like Glow. Including the Powerful Women's of Wrestling? Or something like that? Yes, the Powerful Women of Wrestling. And I have to look at this just because there were so many of them that David McLean actually made. David McLean, by the way, was I believe a ring announcer in Glow, actually, or some kind of fixture in Glow before eventually making the Women's of Wrestling, or WOW. And we all know how that went, to be honest. But, just looking at people she has managed is interesting to me. I don't know why. It's just interesting to me, like, who she has managed. And I'm looking at it right now, and it's interesting to me. I don't know why. Where is it? It was here, but it's not here for some reason. Interesting. I do apologize for the delay there. That's interesting. It's not there. Okay, never mind. But oh well, that's interesting to me. But she wasn't really a manager per se, but still, she had people like the Hurricane. She had people like Right to Censor, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I think Mark Henry for a little bit during her debut, and a couple other people as well. But it's interesting to be thinking because it was here a while ago. Interesting, but it's not for some reason. That's fine. That's totally fine. But you think about her as a wrestler, she was one of the pioneers and also a trainer for Tough Enough when Tough Enough was just getting off the ground. And it was really great to have someone like Ivory help the women, specifically the women in that Tough Enough place. Because thinking about a learning tree of wrestling, you'd probably think maybe a Moolah or a Mae Young or maybe even a Trish Stratus or something like that to those fans. But Moretti knew what she was doing in this business. She knew what she was doing in every sense of the word. And honestly, she's gone around a little bit. I mean, she was in the AWA, she was in the UWF, she was in Glow, we talked about before. So she was one of the last women of the territories in a interesting way. And honestly, she's been around for the past maybe 20, 30 years. Especially and it was a decent name in the Alliance, when the Alliance was around. and had great matches at the time with people like Luna Vachon, people like uh, God, even the matches with Moolah. And Moolah was really pushing at the time. When I say that, Moolah was not what she used to be, and honestly, she wasn't the best wrestler in the world, regardless. But people put her on a pedestal because she held the title for like 30 or 50 years, and no one couldn't even come close to that. But even the matches with Moolah were great. Ivory was a great worker, a great people would call her a great hand, uh, and it was just great seeing her in the ring in general. But one thing I do want to talk about quickly is the right to censor, because she was a big part of that. Well, ironically, the only woman in the right to censor, technically the Cat was as well, but that was the right to nudity thing and the whole thing with King and all that shit. And Cat really left before that was happening, because originally in the right to censor, when that was going on, the Cat probably would have been the person to help people defect from the RTC and break up the group. That was the original plan, but she left along with King, and that was the end of that. But the right to censor, ironically, was a parody of the Parents Television Council, which was, protest at the time, around, this is like 2000, mid 2000, 2001, which was protesting the violence and the sexual content of the Attitude Era at the time, and not allowing certain networks to broadcast it. So, being the genius Vince is, had the right to censor as a literal censor in some things. For a Cat is a big example of that. And of course, Ivory again was the only woman recruited to the group, but was forced to adopt the black slacks out of necessity, because when she was wrestling in a skirt in the RTC at the time, it wasn't a long thing, but it limited what she could do, and it was horrible. It was probably one of some of her worst matches in that. But with that being said, let's go over what she's done in this business. And honestly, of course, with the invasion angle, she wasn't a big player of it, but again, was a great person to work with, especially with OVW, with WWE experience, like talked about before. And even in the independent scene was decent as well. When we come back, though, we'll talk about the moments of her career.